uprising. It's an uprising.
Hello, everybody, and
Hey,
welcome to the Green Live stream. I'm here with
hello.
my co host, Mr. Scott Free.
Hey.
And our guest tonight is Angela Walker.
Ye-
Welcome, Angela. So happy to have
yes.
you.
Yeah, we are thrilled to have you, Angela.
So, she's a member of
I'm
Black
happy to be
Alliance
here.
for.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
She's a member of Black Alliance for Peace, and she also has her own YouTube channel. And she's former VP candidate for in 2020, along with Howie Hawkins for the president. Also ran as a socialist, same time. So that's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So, tell us about yourself, Angela. And how did you
Well,
come back
first
to?
off, I want to say thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Thank y'all for having me. And coming back to like getting into activism and like like you said, I am a member of the Black Alliance for Peace. I'm not, I'm just a little grunt down at the bottom. Getting
Right.
back, getting reoriented with organizing. Um, and they have a program and initiative right now where they are making the linkages between the violence that the United States enacts on its own citizens and how that violence and under imperialism is spread around the world, and how you can make those linkages between the things that are happening in places like Sudan and places like Palestine, and how that looks on the ground here for us who live in the within these borders. So for people who are interested, I'm going to put a shameless plug. It is the Black Alliance for Peace is BAP, their
Yeah.
North South project for people's centered human rights, and I would encourage everyone to check that out and start looking at, particularly for people who are organizing around the issues that we're dealing with in this country. And if you're an organizer who wants to connect people with the larger things that they're seeing geopolitically, this is a wonderful way to get people educated on the ways that imperialism affects citizens here and folks who live within these borders and also without. So it's very important, I think, that folks know this.
Yeah, and we'll put a link to BAP in the chat. Yeah, we know, I know Black Alliance for Peace from a John Mubaraka and followed him for a long time. And he was 2016 candidate VP with Jill Stein with the Green Party. So yeah,
Yes,
big fan.
he reached out to me. He was actually a mentor figure for me when I ran with Howie in 2020. So I thought
Great.
that was really good of him, really kind of him.
Oh, that's great. And I also just wanted to add, I was, reading Wikipedia. Oh, I'm sorry, but it said that you ran for sheriff in Wisconsin and got 20% of the vote in your race.
I
That is
did.
amazing. That is fantastic. Yes.
I would love to attribute that to something that I did, but unfortunately, that's not what it was. I was a
Oh.
broke, unknown socialist. It was more a referendum against. I don't know if y'all have ever encountered David Clark, the former.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Then you know exactly who he's a really reprehensible human
Yeah.
being. I'm
Yeah.
going to
He's
be
horrible.
kind.
Yeah. No.
And it was more a referendum against him than it was
Okay.
like, oh yeah, we want to vote for this chick. But no, they didn't know
Hey,
me.
all right. All right. That's all right. That's all right. It's amazing. 20%. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, we're hoping to do that here.
Yeah.
Just keep,
Thing
just
is,
keep, don't give up. Like
Right.
is people are more ready to hear and discuss third parties than I think I've ever heard them before. I think
Yes.
the moment is coming. It's coming.
Yes.
yeah,
I mean, I think especially, the Democrats are trying to push Bernie Sanders again. And it's such a pathetic push. And it's just shows how empty they are. And it is kind of funny to be a little ageist. I mean, I'm old, but it is funny to see, oh, these huge audiences. Everybody in there is like 70 years old. because it's just, mainstream media MSNBC watchers that would follow him anyway. I mean, everybody has left him because
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
has.
and what's disturbing is that they get so many views and yet they promise nothing. It's the same stuff over and over and over, you know.
Well, and they love to promise when they're out of power. It's just when they actually get in power for those 2 years, that's when everything goes silent. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
Democratic Party.
kind of like the, and I'm really hoping that people, because I'm seeing uh Representative Ocasio Cortez kind of repackaging herself
Oh
and like
God,
rebranding herself, and I really hope that people are watching this and that they are not fooled by it,
yeah,
because this is the same woman. Like you're coming out very vocal about what's happening, with Mahmoud Khalil and things like that. All of a sudden now you're this champion for Palestine. No ma'am.
oh
No
God,
ma'am. Your constituents had to run you down to make you say the word genocide. We're not going to play this game with you. And
right,
the way that she attacked Dr. Stein, we're not going to do this. You do not get to rebrand yourself just because this big bad orange man is in that office.
right.
Nice try.
Exactly.
And I love the way that they exposed her when she did that assault on Jill Stein. I mean, just, insulting her with every name she could think of. And then they pulled out the pictures from the past when she's out there pushing a Green Party candidate because she was part of them. And now she's, slamming the Green Party. I mean, yeah, she is such a fraud. And I do, thank you, Internet, for holding on to these things from the past, because it's easy to expose these people as frauds. But you're right. There is a problem that people don't. Not enough people look outside their very narrow media frame to be able to see, I wish people would read some more on comments on Twitter than they do, because they ripped her to shreds.
Well, and I know somebody from my March days, Joy Marie Mann,
Yes.
that she was supposed to go. You know her? She
Yes.
AOC was supposed to go on her show, but she canceled at the last second. And
Hmm.
because she kind of overheard her saying, "Oh, I look terrible today. I can't go on."
Oh my
And I'm
God.
like, "Well, that tells you everything about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It's all about how you look. It's not about what you got to say. Like, try to look decent, but like I ain't that worried about it. I am who I am, like
Pretty much. Like I still
yeah.
drive a dump truck. I look like it. Like I
Yes.
I work. I am.
Yes.
Nothing
Hey,
has changed. But it's just like
I
I
was a
don't.
truck driver for 25 years, so
Oh, there you
Thank you.
go.
You know how it goes.
Truck
And
drivers
so
unite.
I don't want people fooled by this rebrand. And I'm hearing, just like with that other congressperson, Al Green,
Yeah.
I don't want people fooled by these optics. Like these
Yeah.
it's all air and no substance. These are the same people who for 15 months
Right.
were either silent about the massacre in Palestine or backing it, as Ocasio Cortez did. So like
Absolutely.
I just need understand that people are very afraid right now. There's a lot of rapid fire bad stuff coming at people, but I need people to dig their heels in a little bit, just kind of take a deep breath, realize that this is a shock and awe campaign. It's intentional
Right.
and it's intended to get you off balance, and just kind of be discerning as to the messages that you are getting, because if the Democrats were going to save you, sweetheart, they would have done it.
oh
Right.
my
They've
god.
had 50 years to get it
Oh
right.
God.
Couldn't
Right?
even codify Roe v. Wade. So let's not play this game with them.
They had super majorities with Obama. I mean, no, the
Right.
fact that people still believe them, it's sad.
It's kind of astonishing,
It is.
you know. But that's the oligarch's game, and I'm going to stop calling it an oligarchy because that's not what we have now. We have become a kleptocracy. I think they're doing this so they can steal our treasury.
Oh,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
really think they
yeah.
are. And that's why it's just rapid fire and just chaos. Because I mean, Chris Hedges talks about that. That's what they do. The Democrats are kind of like the corporatists, and they just want order. They're still gonna screw you, but they just want it to be nice and orderly and like say
Right.
nice things while they're doing it.
Right.
Oligarchs, they just want to just burn it down and get what they can.
Yeah.
And that I feel like that's exactly what's happening. But I agree with you. Like we can't watch the play by play fight where you can, but the power is in strikes and protests and, calling them and sending them emails. Just don't even waste your time because
Thank you.
I don't even know where that goes. And I've done that for, I don't know, 20 years. It's not gotten any better. So I'm thinking we need to change up our strategy. What do
Yes.
you
I
think,
have
Ashley?
Lindsey Graham. That's all I
Mm,
tell any. I have Lindsey Graham.
I'm so
Who's
sorry.
mm.
listening to me?
I
I
I don't
have no representation in Washington.
I don't understand how anyone votes for Lindsey Graham. I cannot understand it. It's so bizarre. I mean, of all the, oh my God. It's
Mm,
weird. It's weird. It's
yeah.
to see this, like, kind of flaming queen guy who's like Mr., shoot everyone in sight in any other country if they're a person of color. And I don't, I mean, I just don't see how does somebody vote for this man? It's weird. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be anti-gay. It's weird.
No,
It's a
I
weird.
mean, I'm queer,
I'm gay.
and
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
say
no,
it.
no, no. I'm
Like,
gay. I'm gay. I'm totally gay. But
yeah, and
it's
I'm
just
just
weird that
he's an embarrassment.
the people who would normally just say the most vicious things about gays are voting for him. And I know, I guess
Yeah,
he's not officially out, but I mean, I don't know how much more.
Well, it's because he's
I
pro-war
mean,
and he toes the line and he probably makes the money. So he's the establishment favorite. So that's why he's there.
Right. But I just mean the individual right winger
But
that goes into that booth. I just don't see why because they're,
well, I'm sorry, both sides are full of magical thinking. So they probably don't see it.
yeah, yeah,
oh,
okay.
they
You know,
do. Oh,
they
they do.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
Folks here are quite aware of
Even
you know
conservatives.
where Mr. Graham is on the on the rainbow. They know,
Okay.
but it's
You make a good point. You make a good point because, like, people ask Christians, why is Trump your leader? I mean, obviously he's the furthest thing from a Christian, and they have separated it and they are fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. They separate the things
Compartmentalized.
for their
Yeah.
priorities. Yeah.
Well, I
because
mean, it's similar to what, good people that I know voted for Kamala Harris. So they compartmentalized Gaza, thinking we can work on that in a minute, I guess. Like I actually had people get angry with me because I kept pushing them. I tried not to push them hard, but I'm just like, Jill, just saying.
Right.
And she had 400 electors, like our chair likes to say all the time,
Yes.
and you could vote for her almost everywhere in the country. So
Right.
it's just people are still buying into this magical thinking, and I feel like the breaking point is coming. So you also we also want to talk about Trump's defunding of universities and the Israel exception and the guy that just got picked up, Khalil.
Oh yeah, Khalil. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
and
That.
I think that for people who have convinced themselves that there is, particularly in academia, and being that I'm not an academic, take this as someone who's on the outside looking in. But I think that a lot of people who have been thinking that these colleges and universities are these bastions of free speech and safety, some sort of safety, if they did not get the message from the way the encampments were brutalized last year,
Oh
I
God.
hope what's going on with Mr. Khalil brings this home. Like, you are dealing with an entity that has no conscience, that has no, you can't appeal to it. This man has a green card. He did everything right.
Yep.
So when you're talking about, linking it to the bigger issue of immigration and who's safe and who's not, there is no safety.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for people who are comfortable saying, well, that's an immigrant, and maybe and I've seen it. Like, I'm on Blue Sky and people are like, well, he's on a green card, he shouldn't have spoken out.
Oh
These are
my
his
God.
people. You're going to be silent about the slaughter of your own people because you hold a green card? That's insanity.
Yeah.
And you should be able, as someone who has that minimal protection, to be able to at least utilize your First Amendment rights. And that's not what's happening. And people who are watching this need to be concerned. Yeah, you might have been born here, but your First Amendment rights are not at this point not even as good as the paper they're printed on.
Right.
And this government is showing you that this is how they've always worked. Now it's coming for you.
This
And
is the this is the
I was,
conversation I've been having with my dad's friend. I'm like I sent it to him. I texted him like a excerpt from one of the emails like that I got about what happened, and I said, "So am I next?" He's like, "Well, Trump said that he was going to do that, and they were warned." And I'm like, "It's free speech. That's part of democracy. It's in our constitution." Well, we don't live in a democracy. There's like a million excuses. We're a federal republic. And he made the executive order and I'm like, well, executive orders shouldn't happen. Like I just had something every time. And then I started complaining, then I got deep and was starting to complain about the 1996 Telecommunications Act that
Clinton.
messed over our news. I'm like, well, we don't have freedom of speech apparently, and we don't have freedom of the press, and we don't really have freedom of religion because you're not free from it a lot of times. Yeah. So
And the people that, are claiming that this is just a Trump thing, recognize what the Democrats did not do as these protesters were being beat by police in Democratic cities, and the federal government under a Democratic administration did nothing. So it isn't simply a Trump thing. This is bipartisan. You said it, Edie. When something's bipartisan, watch out. That means it's the worst of the
alarm
worst.
bell.
Ugh.
And I mean, I'd go.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Edie.
I was just gonna say really quick, like if the law doesn't apply to him, it doesn't apply to anyone. But you go ahead.
And also to attach to that, like, not only did the Democrats like stand by, they aided the brutality against these students. How many times did their presidential nominee put out these scathing statements, basically supporting the police attacking young people who were peacefully protesting?
There was even one, I should have grabbed it was a tweet that Biden had done specifically on this issue, that he was considering deporting people who were protesting.
Yeah.
I don't have that graphic, but
The new boss, same as the old boss. I mean, what did you expect? She's top cop from California.
Right.
And
the Democratic Party is and will always be known as the genocide party. They did it for 15 months. They slaughtered the Palestinians. This isn't just, the protection of the protesters. They did it.
I got a new nickname for them. It just occurred to me. The Democide.
Oh, very nice. The Democide party.
They committed democide.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
They did it so bad that they probably won't exist in a few years.
No, I mean, it's sick. And just remember all the times that Biden himself, went around Congress, as Trump did, went around Congress to keep the billions going to Israel for the bombs to slaughter Palestinians.
And it's still happening if anybody doesn't know. The ceasefire
and why do they
hold?
And as Marco Rubio signed that off to go around Congress, why are they not complaining about that? Why aren't they up in arms about that point? Al Green makes a wonderful speech referencing Martin Luther King because Trump, for impeachment, because Trump talked about ethnic cleansing, while the Democrats did the slaughter that created the possibility of him doing this.
And they co-signed it, like
they
lockstep, right. And you censured one of your own for speaking out about what y'all were doing to her people.
Yeah.
Do y'all? I'm mystified. Do these people really think that our memories are that short? Those of us who have been heartsick and losing sleep and crying at odd intervals and living at this simmering level of rage for at least 15 months. Did you think we would forget your complicity in all of this? And so for Ocasio-Cortez, yes, what is happening with Mr. Khalil is unacceptable. It should not be happening. someone with I don't want this for people who don't have green cards, but for folks who do, this is a college student.
Right.
He has the right to be here. And for them to come after him, no due process, to literally disappear him,
Right.
people should be terrified.
They should be.
They should be terrified.
And there was I think I was watching Democracy Now on this. There was somebody, I wish I knew the man's name. I missed that part. But somebody from the Trump administration got up and was talking about it. He didn't even know what the charges are. Well, it's against, federal policy or international policy. I'm like, say what now?
Right.
I thought the people were supposed to help you decide what that policy is. I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't spell international policy, but I'm not going to leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, I do love the people that get in the comments and they're all like, the Department of Education should be gone, and they misspell like 3 words.
Oh,
Like,
there you go.
Ooh.
I'm
That's a good one.
not trying to be a grammar Nazi.
Ooh.
I get my commas and stuff wrong, but I can spell.
And if you're going to call yourself making this stand against this, then please at least say it right. Like
Yeah.
this big run-on paragraph with these random capitalizations and absolutely no punctuation, whatever, you're not making your case very well.
Oh, I mean, actual misspelled words like extra letters.
Yeah.
Like you can fix that. You can delete it and try again. Like
Or the
that doesn't happen.
possessives in place
There
of
you go.
plurals, which is my pet peeve. My pet peeve.
Now, another thing that I wanted to make sure we didn't forget is you wanted to highlight a news story of police violence that is, horrendous, but not really in the news very much. So if you could speak on that, and I know it's local for you, so.
I appreciate that. I live here in Florence, South Carolina. My wife is from Charleston. So we keep up with the news, and a young man, Robert S. Rose, was recently murdered by the North Charleston Police Department. He was a veteran. He was someone who, from my understanding, had gone to Afghanistan, and when he came back, he came back with some issues, as happens to a lot of our young people.
Yes.
When they're forced to do things that no human being should be forced to do in the name of imperialism. So, making those linkages. But he came back, and he was dealing with some issues, and he was having a situation, and the cops, rather than, sending in a social worker, sending in someone who might actually be trained in dealing with mental health issues, they murdered him. And so his family is seeking justice, and anyone who is, I wanted to lift him up and, say his name, and also lift up his family, because I would like more eyes on this. This is not getting a lot of news coverage.
Right.
And I just want people to know about Mr. Rose, what has happened to him, and that, we haven't solved the issue of the services that our communities need. We haven't solved the issues of state violence against our people. And, looking at all of the things that this current administration and the last administration prioritized, none of those things that we asked for did we get as a people. We did not get living wages. We did not get wraparound services that would support veterans dealing with mental health issues. I just read how many people are being laid off at the VA, where people would be served. So, linking the loss of this young man, this very much loved young man, linking it to the bigger issue of state violence and all of the ways that we are living under administrations, and people would love to attribute it just to this current administration. But I like to remind people, Black Lives Matter was born under Obama.
Right.
Not only was he a Democrat, he was Black. So let's just go on and put that on the table.
Right.
So this is a bipartisan problem. This is bipartisan collusion to make sure that people do not have what they need. And police violence, for anyone who is still thinking that, oh, well, maybe you haven't been hearing about it, it hasn't gone anywhere. And
Right.
so I just wanted to make sure that there's some more eyes on what is happening in North Charleston. And I really appreciate y'all giving me the space to do that.
Yes. And thank you for, because we had not heard this. And so, we're gonna also try to help out and make it a news story, because it should be everywhere.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, and you were talking about Sandra Massey. That happened here in Illinois,
Mhm.
Springfield. She called for help. She was unarmed. She had a pot of hot water.
Right.
And
And
she
they
was
got the guy on
kneeling.
camera. She was kneeling. She
Kneeling.
got the guy on camera, the cop on camera that killed her, saying, "I'm going to shoot you in the face," and then he did.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
like,
really
how is
I
that
took a
allowed in this country?
Mm.
I took a long time to engage with that case, just because what do you do with that?
I don't know.
What do you do with that? Her last words were, "I'm sorry, that killed me."
Hmm.
What do you do with that? And it just made me think, everything we did in 2020, what did we accomplish?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you don't fight because you'll win. You just fight because it's wrong. Like my guy Chris had just says, you don't fight fascists because you'll win. You fight them because they're fascists.
And
And
because
And
we
that
have
is our
to.
role, you know?
and the Democrats' response to the Black Lives Matter movement was to give more money to the police. That
Yeah.
was their solution.
Well, I want to
And
circle back a little bit to the veteran issue. There's another piece of that people don't know about. And I wrote about it on Veterans Day for the Illinois Green Party. I sent out the email. A lot of combat veterans come back mentally wounded, and this is hard for me.
it's okay. It's okay.
And they are punished while they're you know, in the service, and then they are not discharged with benefits. And that is a strategy to not pay them,
Right.
because you broke them. You snatched them out of high school before they were even 18. You sent them to a foreign country to do things that nobody should ever have to do. And then that hurt them. And then they come back, and then people wonder why, they can't get along in society. Or even in the society, even inside the military. And then they discharge them, and then they have no VA benefits. They have no GI Bill. They have nothing. So.
Yeah. And what were we doing in those Middle Eastern countries? We were there to destroy them.
Yeah.
That was the point of what we were doing. And it's sick. Why? Just because they were, potential Israel enemies. That's why we destroyed them. I mean, it's just sick. Our government is sick.
I'd like to welcome Renee. I haven't seen you in a long time. What's
Hey.
up, Renee?
Renee.
Capitalists were able to make big money laundering black crude.
Yeah, I know. Black Lives Matter became funded by the Ford Foundation, and I mean, it's unfortunately a lot of our movements get destroyed. Occupy Wall Street was destroyed. Yeah,
And
it's a constant battle we have. Constant.
I think even one of the biggest things that we need to be watching now and really vigilant about, no matter what, part of these struggles that you're involved in and doing work around, even more so than the destruction, is the co-optation that happens before the destruction. I need us to be moving with an absolute understanding that they are the first thing they do is co-opt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of ops
Yep.
that are moving around and like want to throw money here, want to do this, and I need us to be aware. And it's like I tell my wife, and I discuss this all the time. The oppressor has never changed their playbook.
Right.
They don't change their playbook. They may change a methodology. Now it's through tech versus, the first iteration of the robber barons, it was railroads and oil. Now they're moving through tech, but it is the same. It's the same intention.
Right.
And they don't change their playbook. And when they can't outright destroy you immediately, the first thing they're going to do is move in and co-opt. And we saw that with Occupy. We saw that, and like from personal experience, we saw that in 2011 and 2012 with the Wisconsin uprising, and how all of that spontaneous energy was funneled into a recall election against Scott Walker.
Yeah.
And when that failed, the way that people were literally deflated
I remember
and
that.
demoralized.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time that I actually saw how that co-optation works, like in my face. And so I think one of the things that we are going to have to do, those of us who are organizing and moving in whatever ways that we are, be hyper vigilant that they
Yes.
are coming, they are already there, and the mission is to co-opt. And the intention after the co-optation is the destruction, the discreditation.
Mhm.
Like all of the Black Lives Matter movement's leaders have been discredited.
Yeah.
That's not an accident.
Right.
COINTELPRO never left. And I need people to understand that and move accordingly.
Right. No, there's no, without a doubt. I mean, infiltration is everywhere. And yeah, there's no doubt that the left has been under attack for, a century. And that, well, more than that. And it's just that we have to, right. We have to be aware that there are people out there to destroy us in numerous ways, whether it's infiltration or just unified attacks or selling out. So, there are plenty of methods. And I wanted to speak about left unity. And I told you I wanted to talk about this because I've been peripheral to the Green Party for a very long time. I mean, all I did was kind of go to some of their meetings that just look way last chair in the corner. And when Howie Hawkins ran in 2020 and you were his VP candidate, he ran on the Socialist Party and the Green Party. And as an outside observer, didn't really know much. I just thought, what's going on here? This is terrible. This is why are we competing? And it didn't make sense to me. And now when I, as I am more involved and realize the importance of left unity, I wanted you to speak a little about that. And you also ran on the Socialist Party in 2016, if I'm correct, and then the Green Party in 2020. So I want to talk about successful left unity.
Well, it depends on how you define success.
Well, okay.
I think that it was successful too. I think that it was successful in the fact that we opened that conversation.
Okay.
And made sure that this is something that people understand. We prioritize it. It's important. And it's close to my heart because why are we operating in silos as communists, as socialists, as anarchists, when our aims, like if you do a Venn diagram, we all meet in the same place. And so for me, having been a member of the SP, big love now and forever to my comrade Mimi Soltysik, who left us in 2020.
Okay.
And my comrades that are still there. It made sense.
Mm-hmm.
We want the same things. Mm-hmm. And I think one other thing that happened with that, and there was a lot of discussion in the campaign, was the fact that if you are a leftist, because leftists is they're attributing leftists to the Democrats, which makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
No.
I want to slap people.
Right.
It's like, shut up. They're not leftists. We need to be open about who we are. If you are an anarchist, say that. If you are a socialist, say that. You are a communist, say that. Stand on it. Mm-hmm. And when people want to know, because we were talking before we started, people have been red baited so much that they automatically, the reflex is to, when you hear someone say those words. But we all know that when you know someone who is involved in these things, someone that you trust, and someone who can talk to you about issues like, public parks, the fact that libraries should be free, the fact that, we should have housing for all, Medicare for all, and not that watered down foolishness that the Democratic Party called Medicare for all, the real stuff we talked about, that the Green Party wrote the blueprint for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When we are talking about those things, why are you soft shoeing away from it? Tell people who you are.
Right.
I am a socialist. I am an anarchist. This is what we believe. And And this is what we're working towards, and make it less scary for people, because our propaganda, we're gonna have to get our propaganda game up.
Yeah.
Because we're
Trying.
fighting against some we're fighting against some real, like, this is an uphill battle, but like it just made sense and continues to me to make sense as someone who is actually leaning more anarchist than I am anything else.
Okay.
And simply, to me, an anarchist is a socialist who does not believe in hierarchies.
Okay. Cool.
Power to the people. That's what
Yeah.
I believe in.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
They should be doing our bidding. Our government is supposed to be our servants, not our rulers.
and
I had a joke to tell. I go to the ceasefire protest every Sunday, and they always turn into political conversations because that's who we are, right? So I'm talking to a friend of mine, Mac. He's been on the show, and we were talking about the Democrats and like, why are they embracing like Liz Cheney and stuff? I'm like, it's kind of like doing the time warp, like. They forgot to jump to the left, or they only know how to step to the right.
There you go. There you go.
and for
Exactly.
some reason they think that that's a winning strategy, which I'm just
Right.
like, how does that
No,
work?
it's good for
Right.
them. That's what it's good for. It's not good for anyone else.
And I wanted to also add that one of the things I really like about the Green Party is that it does take the approach of left unity properly. It
Mhm.
tries. It really does try. I mean, I see it. We just saw it. 15 states from the Green Party were represented at the Workers' Strike Back conference.
Yeah.
And the Workers' Strike Back group organizers were really, really cruel to the Green Party. And
And
I
PSL.
and what
Mm.
what was so sad about it is, again, more like the attitude that they took towards the Green Party. It was really weird, and again, anti-unity. I guess Workers' Strike Back doesn't really understand the concept of the power of unity yet. I mean, they're young, they're new. But what I do appreciate about the Green Party is the attempt. I mean, they have 15 states represented there. I mean, that was a huge, huge attempt at left unity, and thank you, Green Party. I mean,
Yeah.
they completely get it. They do it right. This is, I just feel like I'm not an anarchist. I need to learn more, but I just, I feel that way so much about communism too. It's like I like folks that I hear. The theory stuff is great. But then when it gets to like a lot of communists they'll rag on the Green Party too. It's like, stop it. We don't have to have everything exact.
Renee's got a great comment here.
Okay.
Facts. In New Jersey, Green Party is working with PSL on a reading group for socialist reconstruction. The goal is to work together to have real conversations about socialism.
Great.
And
Great.
down here in Carbondale, the Shawnee Greens are working with the Southern Illinois DSA.
Right.
Because we agree that the two parties aren't working. They kind of aren't with the national. They have their own ideas, and they do a lot of great work on the ground.
Right.
So we kind of we help each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We look for the places where we can, because we're not naive. We certainly understand. Well, we've learned that the National Workers' Strike Back is horrible, and the National DSA is horrible. I mean, it's but we work with who we can.
Yeah, we can still learn a lot, and I got to go. I felt really privileged to be able to go to Seattle.
Yeah.
Saturday was wonderful. We live streamed it here. It was a lot of fun. I got
It
to
was
hang
fantastic.
with Greens from 14 different states. It was
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we stayed in an Airbnb with 4 other Greens. Chibu Asanye from Illinois went with me. So we just had a great time. Saturday was wonderful. The breakout session, we had breakout sessions. The conversations were great, right up until it was a voting thing, and then things got a little heated. So, I'm gonna. I mean, I was there, so I'm gonna give them some space, and let's just see what happens later. Because some of the things that they want to do are good, like focusing on class issues. That's great, but we also have to include other things like reparations and BDS, and and it took me a while to learn all the nuances, because I just came in on the Bernie Sanders wave, the first one. Like, so it takes you a while to understand all these things. Like, well, yes, that needs to be part of it. And guess what? Green Party's already got that.
And
It's
the
been
thing
there the
is,
whole time.
I get that, Workers Strike Back is kind of a Trotsky, like top down thing. Okay, that's fine. That's their structure and it's working for them. Obviously, they're having, but my issue is, okay, the leadership needs to at least bring the right energy. Shama Sawant did not bring the right energy to the response of the Green Party. And that's my problem. That's my issue, is that at least there should have been some outreach from leadership. That's
I
my
do
main
want to
complaint.
say, I do want to make it clear that we didn't go as Greens. We went as Worker Strike Back members. Just saying.
Okay.
Well, you had to join to be at that
I was already a
conference.
member. I went because I was a member.
Okay,
And
but most of the people that came from Green Party just signed up right so they could be there. So, well,
No.
that's not what our producer said, but okay.
no, not most of them. No.
Okay.
But anyway.
But my thing is like when we're dealing, and I think, the two things that I'm thinking about is one, voice that a lot of the time is not at the table when we're talking about, for lack of a better way of saying it, left unity, are the anarchists. Can we not act like we're afraid? Can we stop acting like we're afraid to have anarchists at the table?
Yeah.
Can
there you go.
we not exclude them and say, oh, those are the troublemakers at our peaceful protest? That's not what's happening. Because when you talk about mutual aid on the ground, spontaneous, bureaucracy free, get food and meds and whatever else needs to be in the hands of the people, directly in the people, nobody is moving like the anarchists. I'm gonna tell y'all that.
Okay.
No one is doing that. And so when we are having conversations about left unity, I think it's very important that we include all facets of the left.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I say that cautiously because libertarians to a degree are considered leftists.
Oh, really? Oh, I had not heard that. I mean, I know that we agree on certain things, like being anti-war. Theirs is a financial reason, ours is a more moral reason. But I knew that we agreed on issues, but I thought that they were considered right-wing. I didn't.
Do they
I have not
consider
heard that.
themselves right wing?
I don't. That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Because I never got that, and I can absolutely be wrong. I'm fine with being wrong.
No. I probably made that assumption myself, just
No,
because.
I think that is the understanding, but I do think it's just like so many issues in the world, even political parties, there's a range within libertarianism. Yeah. Renee says, I think some of them do.
And I think that's a really excellent point, because there was that the anti-war thing that happened about a year or two ago, that it was set up by a libertarian and they invited a number of people from different realms. And some people on the left just were so upset because they were inviting libertarians, or they were inviting this person that it is, and the point was a unity for anti-war. And so I'm one of the people that supported that. There's a lot of people that don't on the left. I just don't think, it's a bad idea to just have this litmus test or this absolute perfection. They have to agree on these other issues. If you have an issue you agree on, work together on that issue.
Yes.
Don't separate. It's just that, it's just.
And then when the things you disagree come up, then have that conversation. But if you all agree on one thing, let's just do that until we get it. And I'm
thinking like all of the different places where we agree.
Yeah.
How are we pushing all of them? Because there's so much that needs to be addressed, and there is so much. My wife and I, like the more conversations that she has, like dealing with community members on Facebook that don't know things that we kind of like, you kind of think people are plugged into, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm always surprised.
And it's so massive and almost a really daunting task. But then we don't have to do this alone. There are so many places where so many people intersect. And we also have to be accepting of the fact that the right is very well organized.
Oh, God.
And it has been noted that they can find points to agree on, even if they hate each other. They can absolutely coalesce around the issues that they want to coalesce around and make it happen. They don't have to like each other. They don't have to agree on every point. But when they want to get at somebody, they do it. And we, over on this side of things, need to at least take a lesson from that playbook. Just that, like nothing
Just
else,
that
because
part.
bump them. But like, as far as that tenacity and that ability to look past, okay, I don't have to agree with you on, like you were saying, I don't have to agree with you on every point from A to Z. On these issues, we feel strongly, we have numbers, we can get PE done, we can get mutual aid done around this stuff. Let's move it. And not be mealy mouthed and bogged down in 1,000 debates about why we can't get it done. Let's go. People are dying.
Thank you. Yeah, Renee put up, the issue was multiple people who got a stage but were not anti-war, and the amount of people willing to shit all over black folks, including 2 people at the top of that march. I'll stop there.
Ouch.
And she was talking about Tulsi too. Tulsi, I wanted her. Tulsi Gabbard was not anti-war then and is not now. She did fool me for a second. Whenever
Tulsi's an opportunist.
Yeah, that's the best word for her, because man, she'll change her position. Yep. I mean,
well, when I saw her step down from the DNC, I thought, well, here's somebody that has the courage of their convictions
to support Bernie Sanders. I mean, that was incredible. That was incredible.
And then she just kept moving to the right.
And also, like, people want to cite the things that she said about Syria. Okay, you saw some things happening and you reported on that, but you're not someone who can be counted on to be in one place.
No.
With one ideology.
No. I think that's where you take the good things that you could find when they happen. Her report in front of Congress about Obama's CIA attack on Syria was glowing. That was fantastic, and she needs to be applauded for that. Her right, then she turns right around and she's all for this genocide, slaughter of Palestinians. So it's you take the points that you can get, but yeah, as a person, no.
And I think that leads to another issue that we have, and we have that in our own leftist spaces. Stop with the cults of personality.
Yeah, right.
Stop with the cults of personality. We need to coalesce people around issues, not people. Yep. We are supposed to know better than that. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like this, and I think it's a very a USian thing to do, because we are so indoctrinated to look for this charismatic leader and so indoctrinated to think that we need to be led. People have to constantly be reminded, no one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And the way to do that is to build your community. Get to know your people. Find your people. And let's get some work done. Like, we need to do a lot of education around labor history. People do not understand that people died so you could have an 8-hour workday. Let's start there. People died so children are not in mines anymore. Because people don't understand that. They don't understand the function of labor unions. We're going to have to call big labor to account. You have got kick the business model that y'all are following. And I say this as somebody who has a union bug tattooed on my arm. So like, I was the legislative director for the transit union for a couple of years. Stop with the that bureaucratic model and get back to old school unionism, which means your rank and file members and your top down need to be re-educated on what labor history in this country was.
Yeah.
And it is not about you getting the bag. And this time, organize all workers. The gatekeeping against low-wage workers, the gatekeeping against Black people, immigrants, women, out the door. Get it right this time.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
There's so much we have to do. And the first thing that has to start is education, because these people do not know the game that is being played with them.
So do you know about the letter carriers, the post office that's doing big protests on the 23rd?
If I was in Milwaukee, I'd be walking with them again.
Oh, well, they're popping up everywhere. I think it's
Florence,
NALC.com, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
I
I'll
know,
see
isn't
it.
she? And
I'll
she's
see if
on
little
fire right
sleepy.
now.
I'll see if sleepy little Florence is doing anything. Because when I tell you, I am dying for a march in this
Right?
little hamlet I live in.
Mm,
I'm like,
yeah.
do y'all get mad about anything down here? Do I
Well,
have to shake you?
Right.
It's one of the biggest unions in the country,
Yeah.
and they are trying to privatize our post office, which is older than the country itself.
Oh God.
That
Oh God.
part.
You know, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I have this weird memory for odd facts, right? So under George W. Bush, they made them fund their pensions into like the future. So they basically took all their funds, set it aside. So that made it hard for them to operate. So they tried to break them then back under George W. Bush in whatever
Oh
year that
yeah.
was before Obama. Um, and they've been after him ever since. Anything that is for the public, that is
Yes.
public service, they want to destroy it
Yes.
and privatize it so they can make it like our healthcare industry,
Right.
Which is
that
so
people
great.
die waiting to get care, or they just can't afford it, or they go bankrupt.
Hashtag free Luigi.
Yes.
Right. And that's
Right.
that's one of the places I met Renee, so that was really cool.
I
We don't want to
have
talk
to
about where we actually met because that's ancient history and it was not pretty.
Hmm.
I have to take like a second. The fact that the Renee Johnston, is in the chat right now. I am fangirling so hard.
Woo.
If folks are not tuned into Saturdays with Renee, I don't know why you're not. You need to be.
Yes.
The education, like my wife is in absolute awe of Renee's research. Like she stands. Like so she calls you Renee with the
Saturdays
receipts.
with
Bring her in. Bring her in.
So I'm fangirling so hard
Yes.
right now.
Aw.
Love it.
I did not know that. Where do you do that, Renee? put it in the chat.
Yeah. Put it up.
Black
We'll put it
Liberation
up.
Media every Saturday at 11
Oh,
a.m.
I do know Renee. I
11
have seen her. Yes, I've seen her. Yep.
Oh, East
No,
Coast.
that's a great show.
That's when we're doing. That's when we started doing our Saturday thing. Maybe we'll have to change your time so we go check you out.
Oh yes.
You have
Oh
got
gosh,
to.
we do not want to compete.
No,
Yes, Black
we're
Liberation
we're
Media,
trying to,
of
like,
course,
find little
of
slots so we
course.
can watch everybody. And man, is it hard? And that's a good thing
Yes,
because there's so many voices out there that are just getting it. People have had it. They're done. They're like, no more Dems, no more Republicans. What are we gonna do? And I had a note on here. I'm like, I was watching Judging Freedom because Aaron Mate was on there.
okay.
And I miss you too.
Yes, now I mean now I do. I feel so bad that I like. Oh, I
Don't
love
buy
having
gold.
celebs.
Plant a garden. That's what I was gonna say. Don't buy gold.
There you go.
You can't eat that shit. Plant a garden.
Hey, everybody, like anything that you can do, like the education that y'all are putting out, the education Renee is putting out, people like push it. The need for political education is, I have never seen the level of I just don't know that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
I'm astounded at the level of people just not making the connections. And so like the more education that people are putting out, the more speaking out that you're doing, the more getting people to and I'm gonna find out the letter carriers here, which I highly doubt, but I'm gonna look. I'm sure gonna look, because if they're marching, I'm marching with them.
Yeah.
But and that's not a question. And it's just like the more education that we can do, the better off it is. People don't understand what's coming. They don't understand what's here. They don't like a friend of mine, Tika Lark, said the other day, and she put it beautifully. This is not even about money. It is simply about power.
Yeah.
These people want power, and they will cut off their nose to spite their face simply to have power. And for people who are feeling demoralized and people who are feeling afraid and you don't know what to do, find reputable orgs like the Green Party, like the Black Alliance for Peace, like the Socialist Party of the USA, like PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Find people. And if you can't find an org where you are and you have certain things you want to know, get with a trusted friend and y'all have these conversations. There's 1,000 YouTube channels that are dealing with these issues. And get educated.
Yes.
Get educated. Do it now.
And one of the most important things that we do in the independent media YouTube space is having guests on, because that is its own form of unity. And, you know, Renee is here, and it's absolutely what is necessary. That's I think my favorite thing about the left in the YouTube sphere is they understand that. They understand the power of that. And so people are guests on each other's shows. And that it's so important, right? Because we have to fight. We have to find ways to reach people, because people just don't know. They really are in a media bubble and they don't know what the reality. I mean, if you look at the Ukraine thing, they don't.
We're down to 4 minutes, and I
okay. I'll just say real quick that they mean well. They really do mean well, but they don't understand the history because they've never been told the history in Ukraine and what we did to that country and all the countries around it as we surrounded Russia.
Well, go watch our Saturday. That's all we talked about. It was great. Just Scott and I hanging out talking politics.
Yeah, we do that on Saturdays now. Although we'll have guests if the opportunity comes. But
but I wanted to let you know, Angela, it's NALC.org. I put it in the chat.
Yes,
and there's one in Charlotte.
Well, excellent.
Okay.
Yep. So just go check out the website. Yeah. I'm excited. I've got a friend in California, in Palmdale, that's organizing one. And I connected her with the Butch Ware campaign. I think Jason Call is going to speak.
Excellent.
They're working on it. So
give them hell, y'all.
Which I love her to death.
And you know, it is really true what you said about, you know, the post office being here before America started. It's like that one. If they win that one, oh my God, that it's just this country. Do not lose your post office, for God's sake. Fight for it.
We're not giving it. We're not gonna give them that. And just like with our public schools, we're not giving
right.
to you.
Right.
If we have to organize freedom schools or do autonomous things ourselves, squat buildings, which we were talking about during Occupy, because we're paying the taxes on them anyway.
Yeah.
We will figure it out, but you don't get to take things from us that belong to us.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
Exactly. So we have 2 more minutes left. Did you have anything you wanted to close with? Because I have a meeting to jump on. So
no. Well, I Renee. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Yes,
and
check
to
out
you both and to Ariel, thank you for inviting me. I've been hiding for 4 years.
We brought you
Head
back.
down, driving my truck. But if there's one thing that I want people to do, get educated. Start studying Union history. Study the history of the anarchists in this country. Study the history of socialism in this country. See the things that it made happen. And at the end of the day, join a reputable organization. It's the Green Party. There's the PSL. There is the Black Alliance for Peace and the Solidarity Network. There are so many places people can go. You can have these conversations in your living room with like-minded friends. Don't be afraid. Above all, do not be afraid, and remember that you are all you have. The government is not coming to save us. We have to save each other. If we have each other's back, we're going to be fine.
Yes. And please, everyone, subscribe to Angela's YouTube at Words and Stars 9. I just subscribed before we started. So.
And I'll remember, and check out some of our other guests, because was it Kalia that had the Green Party tea on Sundays?
Oh yes, Sundays at 6 Eastern. I keep forgetting. Sundays 6 Eastern on TikTok.
My Sundays are usually I'm out knocking doors, so Sometimes I make it back and sometimes I don't.
I'll be
But,
getting back to that at some point soon.
yeah.
So.
So thanks everybody for coming. Sorry we have to jump off right on time because I
Yeah.
could talk for another hour, but you know.
Thank you so much, Angela,
Thank
for coming
you.
on. I really
Okay.
thank you.
Thank y'all.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising. Fight the power.